All right, howdy everyone. It's Pete. As you know, as I just sent out on an email, today's Good Friday, so we're not actually going to have a class meeting today. This is a quick video to make sure that y'all don't miss out on the material. We'll, as usual, post slides on eCampus, and of course, if you have any questions, let me know. This is pretty easy stuff, so while I am missing seeing y'all, I didn't get to see y'all last week because I had to go to Dallas for a family emergency, and now I'm not getting to see y'all today because of Good Friday, so I miss seeing you guys. I know you're thinking, Pete, please just get to the point so we can go back to sleep. All right. This is easy stuff. For people like you, this is just the importance of leadership and management skills in civil engineering practice. And I'll get it to change slides any second now. There we go. So what we're talking about is leadership, management, and production. And that could also be called the 3Ds, deciding, directing, and doing. Leaders decide what our goal is, managers help us get to that goal, and then the producers are the ones who do the work to get us to that goal. So if we're all in a civil engineering firm, right, I think I've said this before, 71% of civil engineering firms in the United States are 30 people or fewer. So the size of our class is an average size for a CE firm. Let's say I'm the boss, right? And Sean's my senior VP. He's essentially my senior team manager. And I say, all right, in the next 10 years, we're going to become the top high-tech civil engineering firm when it comes to direct water reuse in the state of Texas, right? So that's our goal, right? And I try to inspire us to get there. Sean will help assign projects and meet deadlines and budgets so that we have the success necessary to get where we want to go. And then, of course, the people doing all the design work and drafting and writing are going to be the engineers, right? The EITs and the PEs. So if you have 2 out of 3, right? So this is 3 things: deciding, directing, and doing. Leadership, management, production. If you have 2 out of those 3, right? So management and production, but no leadership, you'll have short-term success but long-term failure, right? People will know what to do and they'll be able to do it well if there's a good manager, but they won't have the final goal, right? What comes after that? Leading and managing without enough producers, right? That's what we call top-heavy, right? Too many people in charge, not enough people doing. And that happens on a regular basis. I know that going through this list, you'd be like, well, why would any company do that? And yet it happens. With leading and managing but no producing, little or nothing happens. With leading and producing, organization produces but very poorly, right? Because there's no management. So these are the sort of work roles of leaders, managers, and producers. Leading means identifying goals, creating relationship with the client, and then winning work. So if I'm our CEO and I say we're going to be the top high-tech water engineering firm in the state of Texas for direct water reuse technology, then that's our goal. That's what it is that we're going to do. I will then look for people, clients, municipalities that could be potential clients. I will establish a relationship with those clients and then win the work, right? So that's my job, is to get work for everybody to do. My manager, right, let's say it's Sean again, he's going to create or help create the schedule, budget, milestones, stuff like that. Now, obviously, this is where, leadership and management overlap because the CEO and the client are going to work on that schedule and budget as well. But then the manager assigns work and procedures and makes sure the work is done, right? So the manager's job is to essentially give you everything you need to succeed and then continually check up and make sure that we're hitting our goals and our targets. As producer, what you'll be as an EIT, you create the design, you use resources, right? You've got your salary, your health benefits, your retirement benefits, right? In other words, there's a lot of money that the company gives you. You're also probably using a laptop, a cubicle, a table, 5 or 10 grand worth of software. You're sitting in an office that occupies space and costs money. You're parking out in the parking lot. You're doing all kinds of things. Maybe you're traveling for this particular job, so I'm paying you a per diem or paying your nightly expenses or something like that. In other words, you're using resources to create the design. And of course, you're responsible for checking your own work and for helping to meet and check milestones. And that's where your job as a producer's job overlaps with management roles. These are just a list of traits of leaders and managers. So for instance, a leader has a vision of the future. The manager has a plan to meet the project deadline. So if I'm thinking 5 and 10 years ahead, Sean's probably thinking towards end of the month or next Friday or when is our next deadline, right? It's a much shorter term outlook. And that's good, right? You want a good manager with a short term outlook to keep quality up. The leader focuses on effectiveness, manager focuses on efficiency. Let's get down to the middle here. A leader thrives on change, conflict, and challenges, and a manager thrives on repetition and predictability. Why is that? Well, again, if I'm looking 5, 10 years down the road and one of my young engineers makes a mistake, what I'm thinking is, great, she's going to learn from that mistake. She's going to be a better employee from here on out. We are going to reach our goal. What is Sean thinking? Sean's thinking, well, she screwed up my Friday, right? That difference in outlook, because the manager needs to know that everything's being done right? Whereas the leader has a much bigger picture. Neither one is superior. Just bear in mind that you need both. Also, down here at the bottom, leaders and managers need to both be technically competent and good communicators, but a leader also has to be a good manager of people. A manager does not have to be a good leader. Okay, so this is a part in the semester where I show a bunch of faces I hope y'all will recognize, and we talk about leader, manager, producer. If we were having a class, I would have y'all take 10 minutes and find some people online, and then we would, have a discussion that way. But I'll just do this one really quickly. So this guy's a hobbit from the Lord of the Rings. His name is Sam. He was a manager and producer. He helped manage and schedule their eating. He rationed the food. He carries supplies. He makes sure that they're up at the right time and moving. Sam is a manager and a producer, obviously, because he's also doing the things. Bill and Melinda Gates are leaders at this point. Bill made his money with Microsoft, as I'm sure you know, but now he gives a tremendous amount of time and money to philanthropic causes. And he tries to keep himself in the news as someone who has good ideas, right? A good vision for the future. Katniss, if we're talking about the books, the Hunger Games books, and the movies, I would argue that in the first book, she's a producer, right? They have the contest. She goes and she wins the contest, right? That's pretty much a producer. She's in production. But of course, in the later books, she does, in fact, become a leader, however reluctantly. This is Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's been in the news a great deal lately, as I'm sure you know. Is he a leader, manager, or producer? He is a leader. He is, do I want to say leader? Leader or manager, right? He's a technical expert, just like you, right? Just like a civil engineer. He's a technical expert. I would argue that he's giving guidance rather than making sure things are being done correctly. So I think that's leadership. All right. What about a college level football coach? We always have to cover football coaches when we talk about leadership management and production, because those are people who are often in the media. And are they leaders? Yes. A college level football coach, especially at a big program like A&M, is a leader. You would think that there'd be no goal setting, right? Well, what's your goal for this season, coach? Well, I want to win, right? All the games. Okay, but that's just a desire that you have, right? The actual goal is going to be something like, well, this season we're not going to be able to do much with our running game, so we're going to focus on something else. Or our passing game is going to be strong, so we're going to rely on, right? And then the assistant coaches are the managers who ensure quality and execution. All right, and then King T'Challa, coolest movie ever, Black Panther, leader, manager, producer. He's a leader and a producer. He is apparently not a manager at all. His baby sister manages everything. He has the big ideas and the big words, and he goes out into the field and does things that inspire his followers. So one of the things that you should learn from this is that a leader has to be inspirational. People will not follow someone who is not inspirational. And that lends itself to being ethical as well. It's difficult to be inspired by. So if King T'Challa were constantly betraying his people, he wouldn't be a leader because they wouldn't follow him, right? All right, so from Forbes 2012 and Psychology Today 2009, identifying bad leaders. Leaders who can't see it probably won't find it. In other words, if your leader does not have a vision, your leader probably will not have a vision. When leaders fail to lead themselves, if they're not inspiring, if they're not doing the things that they say other people should do. A leader who's a know-it-all, a leader who's poor at communicating, a leader who makes it all about them, or not paying attention to the customer, right? So if I'm our civil engineering firm's CEO, if I'm the president, then and I stop listening to local municipalities and what they say their needs are, and I start telling them, well, this is what we can do, buy it or not, right? Obviously, we're not going to have many customers left. I'll be a bad leader. Leaders who use threats and punishment for compliance rather than, say, promotion and money and responsibility and encouragement. Use of fear tactics, or leaders who create factions, right? In-group versus the out-group, cliques within the company. That's bad news. So the bottom line is that this leadership and management skills are needed at all levels within an organization, right? Your individual responsibility is to exercise deciding, directing, and doing, right? As needs and opportunities arise. You don't want to try to take over the company, but you do want to be a manager in the sense that you manage your own resources and time, right? You want to be a leader in that the other people in your design group know they can rely on you to be there, work hard, be on time, right? Even things like that can be inspirational. That can be leadership. Okay. This week, please read the following things. And that's it for now. That's leadership and management and civil engineering.